For years, a company in Finland called Remedy Entertainment was hard at work on a new kind of third-person shooter video game. The game was about a fugitive undercover cop who is framed for murder and hunted by the NYPD and the mob. Few screenshots were shown of the game leading up to its release. The game was in development for such a long time that it produced high expectations from the early press. It would come to be known as Max Payne. It was produced by 3D Realms and published by a gathering of developers. The game was first released on the PC in July 2001. It would then receive ports later in the year for the Xbox and PlayStation 2 by publisher Rockstar Games. One more port for the Macintosh followed a year later by Feral Interactive. Another port was planned for the Dreamcast, but due to its early demise, it was cancelled. The game had stylish cinematography and choreography that was heavily influenced by Hong Kong action movies, particularly the work of director John Woo. In addition to the typical third-person action, the game's most highlighted feature was the bullet time mode. During bullet time, time would slow down, allowing players to move in slow motion while still reacting in real time. This gave the player an advantage over the enemies in the game. They had the ability to avoid shots easier by dodging and performing an attack in mid-air. The characters and dialogue were reminiscent of that scene in pulp noir films. Instead of having rendered or digitized cinematic movies for the game's cutscenes, the story is told through graphic novel panels along with a narration similar to a heavy-handed style of radio detective dramas. Sam Lake, a writer from Finland, not only wrote the game's story and script, but was also a level designer and the face model for the game's main protagonist, Max Payne. The voice of Max Payne was provided by American TV actor James McCaffrey. Due to the game's budget, Sam Lake and the programmers at Remedy played the characters seen in the graphic novels. The story begins when a modern-day New York cop named Max Payne returns to his Jersey home and his family. When he arrives, he soon gets the feeling that something is not right. Max discovers that drug junkies have invaded and ransacked his house. He manages to kill them, but not before they kill his wife and daughter.
No, please, God, no. No, God, no, please, Michelle. Oh, baby.
He later learns that the killer junkies had been high on a previously unknown designer drug called Valkyr. After the funeral, Max decides to transfer from the NYPD to the DEA to investigate the source of the new drug. 3 years later, he receives an anonymous tip that Jack Lupino, a mob boss in the Punchinello crime family, was trafficking the drug. In order to infiltrate the mafia family, Max went undercover, with his friends Alex Balder and B.B. Hensley being his only contacts in the DEA who knew he was down there. One day, he gets a call from BB telling him something urgent has come up with Jack Lupino and that he needs to meet with Alex immediately. When Max meets with Alex at the subway station, Alex is shot dead by an unknown gunman.
Alex?
There was nothing I could do. He was dead. I could tell by the empty, accusing stare of his eyes.
Max flees from the station, only learning that Alex must have stumbled onto something big enough to make Lupino want to take him out and leave Max to take the fall for it. He decides to head for a sleazy hotel where Lupino was known for running his operations. Instead of finding Lupino at the hotel, Max has a run-in with the Finito brothers and discovers that his cover had been blown. After taking them out, Max finds a letter on the table regarding a video going down with Lupino's right-hand man, Vinny Cogniti. While going through the hotel, Max overhears a newscast from a nearby television. He has been accused for the murder of his friend Alex, and the NYPD have begun a search to apprehend him. It isn't long until the rest of the Mafia family learn that Max Payne was an undercover cop and begin to hunt him down. Once Max leaves the hotel, he decides to track down Vinny Cogniti. Max finds Vinny, who tries to get away, but not before Max squeezes off a bullet into his stomach. Vinny still attempts to bail, and Max gives chase over the city rooftops until he finally corners him.
Where's Lupino?
Screw you!
Bad start, Vinny.
Police brutality!
I rate pretty high on that.
You can't just hurt me in cold blood?
Just keep telling yourself that. Listen good, Candyman. I'm not gonna be anybody's fall guy. I want to know where your boss is hiding. There was no glory in this. I hadn't asked for this crap. Trouble had come to me in big dark swarms. The good and the just were like gold dust in the city. I had no illusions. I was not one of them. I was no hero. Just me and the gun and the crook. My options had decreased to a singular course.
I'll tell you, just don't hurt me no more. Lupino's at Ragnarok, the nightclub. Book me, take me in the home into the freaking jail, just don't hurt me.
Your rights will be read at your funeral.
Inside the nightclub, Max finds Lupino, who appears to have lost his mind. After Max kills Lupino, he meets a femme fatale who looks like Lisa Punchinello, the Don's wife. She turns out to be Mona Sachs, Lisa's twin sister. Mona tells Max that Lupino couldn't have been the one who framed him. Alex's murder was the work of Angelo Punchinello, the head of the Punchinello family. They decide to call a truce for now, and Mona offers Max a cup of whiskey. Unbeknownst to Max, Mona laces his drink with a sedative and leaves him to be found by the Mafia, who proceed to interrogate him.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mine hadn't been to crack jokes about the goon with the bat. He'd have cracked my skull regardless. It hadn't even been to trust a girl with a gun. I had blindly gone after the first bad guy on my hit list when I should have been aiming further up the ladder, at the head of the Punchinello family. I couldn't bring myself to be pissed at Mona. Guess I had a soft spot for her pretty face. But when somebody decides to play baseball with your head, you tend to get sore. They had dragged me back to the basement of Lupino's hotel. I was beaten, bruised, and blue. I felt like the chair I had broken to get free.
He manages to escape, but is confronted by Vladimir Lem, the leader of the Russian mob. Vladimir offers to help Max reach Punchinello. In exchange, Max agrees to help Vladimir take out a man named Boris Dime. Boris worked for Vladimir and was in control of a shipment of guns, but he changed sides to work for the Punchinellos. If Boris manages to hand over the guns to Punchinello, Vladimir will have lost the mob war and things would only become more difficult for Max. After getting rid of Boris and getting back his cargo ship, Vladimir offers Max an alliance with him and drops him off at the Punchinello Manor.
Outside my door. Hurry. He's coming for me. You gotta hurry. Please.
I could hear Punchinello on the phone begging for help. He should have been saying his goodbyes.
When he arrives at Punchinello's room, he finds the Don begging for his mercy. Punchinello confesses that he was merely a puppet in the Valkyr market. Someone higher up had been pulling the strings the whole time. Before Max can pull the trigger on him, a group of agents arrive and do it for him. He is held at gunpoint by a group of agents led by a mysterious woman.
I could tell when I was outgunned. It was time to take another beating. The mystery witch was a real barracuda. Trouble on dagger heels, a smoking assault rifle in her hand, and an army of killer suits behind her.
How sweet. I get to kill two birds with one stone.
Sooner or later, it was going to catch up with you.
Mr. Payne, it's time to show you the benefits of my brew. Be a good boy now.
You'd find that Lady Luck was really a hooker. You were fresh out of cash.
Gentlemen, we're done here. Take me to Cold Steel.
She had just given me an OD of Valkyr. I could feel green fire eating my brains. They turned to steam. They did a fade on me. I'd never had a chance. The witch had got me just as sure as if she put a gun to my head and pulled the trigger.